Welcome to our digital forensics course. Previously, we have introduced data forensics and completed a huge lot of tasks, and we are close to finalizing our lectures. The last from the second from the last lecture will be about mobile device forensics, and we will finalize our series with malware forensics. In mobile device forensics, what we'll cover is like that. We will first try to explain how to protect a wireless device, like a cell phone or a tablet, let's say, from electromagnetic effects, because these devices are actually communicating through wireless communications, through electromagnetic waves, and actually any communication may manipulate the internal state of the mobile device. So you need to protect it from such modifications starting from the time of the capture. The second one, the second topic is about how to acquire the data from a mobile device, and we will consider possibilities about unlocking a phone or let's say a mobile device in general. We will also try to explain how to decrypt the encrypted contents if possible. And we will also mention the places that you can find critical information. And as all these steps are extremely difficult, we will also look for a shortcut that could be used for mobile device forensics. First things first, so let's start with protecting the device from electromagnetic effects. Some of you may remember from high school electricity classes or physics classes that the electromagnetic field inside a conductive space, or let's say a sphere, is always zero. There is a device that's called Faraday cage that you can easily use, and if you stay inside a Faraday cage, something like a metal conductive box, it is ensured physically that there won't be an electromagnetic wave. Actually, there is an idea, there is a device that protects cell phones from electromagnetic waves in the same idea. These are called Faraday bags. These Faraday bags are actually something like evidence collection bags, but they are coated with conductive material. So after the point you put a mobile device in that bag, you can ensure that the device cannot connect to anywhere else. So the state of the evidence will not change based on the electromagnetic communications, and then you can generate an image of the cell phone, of the mobile device, and you can calculate the hashes, and you can do the regular cloning procedure. Cell phone devices, mobile devices, or let's say the current smartphones, may be a bit different from computers, from portable computers or from desktop computers. When you have physical access to a computer, you have some kind of modularity. Even if you cannot boot the device, you can just take the hard disk out and try to read it through some other hardware or some other device. For smartphones, this is not always the case. Therefore, you need to find some way to acquire data. For Android devices, the best way is to be able to enable the debugging mode from the phone settings, and after you enable the debugging mode, actually you can connect your phone to a computer, and after you install the Android debugger toolkit or and relevant device drivers for the for the mobile device, you can capture everything from that device. Actually, you can copy the image of the internal storage of that device. For iPhones, this is a bit different. You need to actually inject your own bootloader in the beginning. Normally, when an iPhone device boots up, it only accepts firmware from Apple devices, so it is sometimes it is not normally possible to force iPhone to boot into debug mode. So uh, the best way to do that is to force the recovery mode and then put your own bootloader for iPhone devices. Then after you manage to boot the iPhone device in the recovery mode, then you can try to acquire information from that iPhone. To do that, most of the time you need to have access to the device, but most of the smartphones are password protected. This is a very tricky issue. If an Android phone, for example, is actually enabled the developer option, so you can do debugging, it is very easy to get rid of this locking mechanisms. You can just start a shell from your computer within the mobile device, and the shell acts as actually a Linux shell that runs inside the mobile device, so you can browse and delete the password files, or let's say the pin entry files, and you can reboot and start with a fresh start without any password protection. But if it isn't already there, then the only option remaining is the brute forcing the password. So you need to try one by one and try to understand if it is possible to estimate the password. And this is true also for the encrypted contents. If the contents of the mobile device is encrypted, this encryption is most of the time built on the user PIN number or user password, let's say. And if you don't know anything about this password, it is a very difficult process to try to brute force the whole file system. Either case, there may be many options. You may have access to the image, but you don't know the password, or you may not have access to the user password, but therefore you cannot capture the image. These are possibilities. In that case, you need to have you need to ask for advanced forensics companies for legal authority enabled tools, and even those cannot work all the time. If you have the image but you know that it is encrypted, one possibility is, again, you can try brute force decryption, cryptanalysis on the encrypted contents. it actually means trying many possible passwords one by one, and by experience, let's say for more than half of the cases, brute force is not a huge task because the passwords of users are mostly easily guessable passwords. They are quite simple, and you can find the passwords in a dictionary. And so if you try a few 100,000 words in a dictionary with the most used passwords, more than half of the time it could be manageable to decrypt the contents. Now let's imagine you have access to the contents of the mobile device. Then where should you check? One thing interesting about the mobile device storage is uh, these devices are extremely sophisticated and they are extremely specialized, and the device does many things for the users without even the user notices. One example could be whenever you try to take a photo, even if you don't choose to add the geolocation tag into the photo, the geolocation could be calculated and put in a database for ease of cache. And the operating system would like to find this data whenever it is needed. So even though you are not using, many data has been cached in small databases in mobile devices. What I say by small databases, actually, they are actually files that keep some kind of specific structure for storing data. These are more efficient structures than regular files. And most of the time, the phone companies or the mobile device producers use SQLite or SQLite kind of databases. These are trimmed down small miniaturistic databases that could be used with SQL querying language. So actually, this is where I am trying to go. If you would like to make forensics on a mobile device, it is better that you have some kind of application that enables you to read SQLite databases. The critical information most of the time lies in third-party application folders. The mobile operating systems try to keep each relevant application's data within a specified folder that is spared for only for that application. And whenever applications share data, most of the time they copy data from one folder to other folder, or they add additional data to each other's folders, but nearly all of the relevant information about the third-party application lies within the application's own folder. The application folders are mostly named, tried to be named uniquely. That's why most of the time you see something like a reverted URL address. So something could be start with a com address and then a Google address and then a specified application's address. The reason is if you start with such kind of an hierarchy, the names would not overlap easily, and each application could keep its own structure. Finally, maybe it is better to mention if there is a shortcut to access information in a system, in a mobile device. Uh, Interestingly, in the ever connected smart device world, most of the devices are designed uh, with continuous cloud access, and they have cloud backups, or they are using some kind of cloud storage services. Uh, Either hold relevant configuration and data, or sometimes some specific applications data are uploaded daily as a backup. Uh, it is obvious that if you could access this cloud storage easier than trying to unlock and decrypt the mobile device, it is easier to receive that data from the cloud storage account and see what's inside. Uh, but it should be kept in mind that in that case, you will see the data that is only set to be used by the device at any given moment. If some file has been copied to the mobile device and then deleted, very probably you won't see such uh, traces of such deletion in the cloud storage. Then you need to go back to the conventional uh, data storage, hard disk or SD card forensics techniques to extract some additional information. This is all for mobile device forensics. Thank you for listening and see you in the next lecture.